Are you living the Delaware Beach lifestyle? You can't live at the beach and do nothing. This up-and-coming year-round area has lots to offer. Find out where to eat, play, and serve. Living the ultimate dream.
Welcome to the 302 Lifestyle Beach Podcast. Your host, Dylan Ewing, sponsored by that guy with the broom. And we have Audrey Fisher in the house with Operation Shooting Star. Now, just to give you a little background, I won't try to blabble too much, but we met Audrey several years ago. She was doing some fundraising and some other stuff with autoimmune diseases that she's kind of tackled. And my wife, Daisy, you guys may have seen her on. She had or has lupus, and I know a lot of her life she's struggled with making sure she eats right and constantly is exercising and keeping her body going, because once she gets stagnant or gets stressed out or anything like that happens, all sorts of stuff goes on. I mean, her body just really freaks out, and she felt alone a lot of the time. And I'm sure if any of you guys are listening and you're struggling with any type of autoimmune disease, you may have felt alone, that maybe you're crazy or something like that. And Audrey has started Operation Shooting Star to talk about this stuff. And I don't want to babble too much. I may be putting words in your mouth, but Audrey, tell us a little bit about how you got started on this journey and what you guys are doing now.
All right, thank you. And you've actually described it perfectly in the few words that you said. So I'm very impressed by that. Good job. No, the stress, this being stagnant, keep moving, but don't move too much, all that. We'll talk about that. But Operation Shooting Star started actually with my own autoimmune disease diagnosis. 2009, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And just with a new diagnosis, you want to learn as much as you can. I started digging in. I'd never heard the term autoimmune before, and that started popping up a lot in my research. And by default, I found out that rheumatoid arthritis, which my dad had already been diagnosed with, was also an autoimmune disease. So this really struck me and caught my attention, because here I was navigating a brand new diagnosis, and he had already been going through it for a couple of years. And essentially we had the same disease. It was just a matter of different parts of the body that, our immune systems were attacking, which is basically what autoimmunity is. And as, Daisy's very familiar with, with lupus. So that's what kickstarted it. I really wanted to focus on supporting research, because that's where it all starts, right? We got to find, like you said, when people are trying to get diagnosed, or people have questions, or they feel alone, sometimes they're being told they're crazy, or, they just don't know where to get the answers. And we just need to bring more attention to that. And if there is research going on about it, and we can support that, and we can support the talks in the medical community, that's really, in my opinion, where it all starts. So that's kind of a short version of how we started, or why I started it.
Now, before you move on, I wanted to kind of dive into that a little bit, because if I'm understanding correctly, there hasn't been a lot of research up until recently, right?
Yes. There hasn't been a lot of research on autoimmunity as a whole. There's definitely, and wonderfully so, thankfully so, a lot of research on each individual disease, multiple sclerosis, lupus, RA, all those different autoimmune diseases. But the focus on their core basis, the autoimmunity, there's just not enough of it. There's not enough attention to that. There's not enough research for that. There's not enough education in the medical field for that. And there's just not enough knowledge around it. So if there's over 80 diseases, autoimmune diseases, and some people, some will even tell you as much as over 100 of these diseases. If we can focus on their correlation, their connection, then something that might help MS could also help lupus, et cetera, et cetera. But if we're only focusing on them individually, and we don't understand that there's a root cause, then that's where the disconnect comes.
Now, is there any ideas on root causes or how people can avoid something like this?
I wouldn't necessarily say that there's an avoidance. There's what I call the perfect storm theory, based, and again, I have to preface everything I say. It's based on just research I've done, people I've talked to. I'm no medical professional, that's for sure. But the perfect storm theory is that genetics plays a role, viral plays a role, and environment. And when you have those three come together in a certain way, that's when the autoimmune disease manifests. Because autoimmunity actually exists in all of us. What it is your immune system working against itself, basically. Real quick, Dylan, if you don't mind, I'll just explain that for those that are unfamiliar. Autoimmunity is, so we have our immune system, which is in our bodies to protect us from all the bad stuff. And with autoimmunity, it actually ends up attacking all the good stuff as well. It gets confused. So like you said, our bodies start freaking out. When you said that, I was like, oh, it's perfect. I say that all the time, because that's exactly what's happening. Our bodies are in overdrive. They're in overload. They're like, oh, I got to attack this bad thing. And then this, I don't know what it is. So I'll attack that and I'll attack it all. And then that's where the problem comes. And then with autoimmune diseases, it's a matter of what part of the body it's attacking. So like with MS, it's attacking my central nervous system. With RA, it's attacking, my father's joints and so on and so forth. So autoimmunity as a whole is a thing. It's just when it becomes, that perfect storm theory, like I said, when all those things come together, and those are theories, they really don't know what the actual, root cause could be.
Now, if I can just jump in.
Absolutely.
So and I may be putting words in Daisy's mouth, but I'm pretty sure I have a understanding of what happened with her. She started having all these symptoms of just fatigue and joints and just all this type of body freak out stuff. And she thought, literally she thought she was crazy, and she went to the doctor, but several years ago, I'm not going to divulge her age, but several years ago, she went to the doctor, and I think even now they still are kind of not understanding it completely. So they end up just giving drugs out. And if I understand, the drugs for this stuff is dangerous. I mean, it's not healthy, and it actually causes a lot of symptom problems just from the drugs alone. Is that?
Yes and no. A lot of this stuff, I'll use the word theory loosely. You could talk to one person and they'll tell you, it's all on basis of what I eat and my physical movement, my exercise. And you could talk to somebody else and says, no, I'm on this one particular medication and it's keeping everything in check. And I'm just monitoring that and everything. I mean, we all have our opinions on medicine, right?
Yeah.
And the different kinds of medicine. So I don't want to necessarily dive into that part of it, but it is, I can say this part is that it's frustrating because with autoimmune disease, and I know she's experienced this, I've experienced this, anyone who's gone through an autoimmune disease diagnosis or misdiagnosis has experienced this, where because your immune system is freaking out and in overdrive, it could be going at any different thing and presenting symptoms that are so similar to other things. So then a lot of times we get mistreated. So we're giving the wrong medicine. So then, yes, that could become toxic. That could become a problem, because then now that medicine's affecting other things that weren't a problem before, but now they're a problem. And then our body's like, well, wait, now I got to fix that, And so your body never gets a break and can never rejuvenate or refresh or stop, really, and take a break. So yes, that's, I will say this, when one of the biggest, and for me, one of the saddest things I find about autoimmune disease and people that suffer from it is that people can go 3 to 5 years is the average before they even get a diagnosis. Some people are misdiagnosed and some people are never diagnosed at all. So that leads to mistreatment, no treatment, or that kind of thing. So to me, that is why I want to support research, because if we can really dig into what it is, why it is, and how it is, then we can ultimately try to fix it.
Audrey, so this is great. So we get a lot of people moving here from all around, as you know, and these big cities, Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia, New York, Virginia, all these places, and they're coming to the beach. And I think a lot of and we came from Vegas, you have this high stress environment, hustle bustle, always in a hurry to get somewhere. And I think, and this is one of the most visited and most fastest growing beach towns on the northern East Coast.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people are trying to get away from that high stress, high impact, high fast life. And you kind of make it to the beach. And I don't know, I think you've always been here, but
Yeah.
coming from Vegas, we thought, oh my gosh, we'll never get used to this. It's so slow, and then after, 6 months to a year, you kind of acclimate to
Yeah, definitely.
a lesser stress. And I think that kind of helped with Daisy. But then I think a lot of people are craving that. So if they're sitting here right now, they're moving in town, they're listening to this and something resonates with them. What are some signs, or like, let's say it's been 2, 3, 4 years, these people have been dealing with something, and they're not sure what's going on. The doctors don't know. Could you dive in a little bit about how somebody could kind of be aware of what's going on?
I can certainly try from my perspective.
Okay.
So one of the things that you and I have both said a couple times that we haven't really touched on the why of it was the stress. Stress is a major trigger. So I have 2 dogs. So real life Zoom, we've all gotten used to that, right? So if you hear them in the background, so stress is a major trigger. And as with anybody, as with a very healthy person, you have stress in your life, your body's going to be like, whew. So we have to be ultra mindful of that, because with autoimmune disease, our body's already in overdrive. So then stress exacerbates that. So that being said, so people are coming to the area, they're trying to de-stress, right? They're trying to, slow down, calm down. They've got things going on. As far as trying to navigate through it, there's things from my experience, and that's where I speak from, that can help, that we can control if we want to try to find an answer. And then we can simultaneously try to do, with the doctors and the medical field and things like that. As far as things we can control the things we eat, the way we exercise, the way we move, all those things, eat right and exercise, right? Just to stay healthy in general.
Yeah.
From my experience, and I think Daisy would probably contest to this, it makes a difference with autoimmunity, because your body's already in overdrive. So you want to give it as much positive fuel and nutrition as you can to help with that, right? You can't run a car on no gas, and you can't run a car on the wrong gas, right? The wrong kind of fuel. So there's one way that you can do it. Drink water and eat right. That's, I live by that. I try to. I'm not going to say I don't eat pizza and popcorn, but
yeah.
But also, one of the things that I really, I want to touch on this real quick, and please stop me if I'm talking too much, but it directly correlates to the area, to the beautiful 302 and why people go there, right? The beach and everything. One of the things I've really been focusing on the last couple of years is self-care, and not only trying to heal my body, but trying to heal my mental state, my emotional state, things like that. And thankfully, that's one of the things that we can find in the 302, as you so lovingly referred to, at the beach, is, go out for some fresh air and take a walk on the beach at sunset or sunrise, do things like that. Go out into nature, find whatever it is that you find peace with in your soul and your mental state, because your body will listen. And again, this is my experience only, but it helps, not to mention the stress levels. It's hard to get stressed out when you're sitting on the beach watching the sunrise.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, just my opinion on certain ways. And then if people don't have any answers, I would say you have to be your own advocate. You have to keep asking questions. There is no wrong question, in my opinion. The only wrong question is the one that does not go asked. And if you don't like the answer you get from someone, a doctor or whoever, move on to the next person. Trust your gut, but you have to be your own advocate, because in the autoimmune disease community, there's not enough out there to support us medically, financially, emotionally, mentally. So we have to be our own advocates, or like Daisy and I, we found each other. We could talk to each other, that kind of thing. Reach out to people that are suffering from the same thing, or think they might be suffering from the same thing.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
yeah, and I'm not a doctor either, but so and I hate to keep talking about Daisy. I tried to get her in here, but she's actually at a gym class, keeping the exercise going.
Perfect.
So the doctor, when she originally got diagnosed, gave her all this medication. She was having symptoms from the really hard medications that they tried. And this was way back when they really didn't really have any type of thing going on with this. And, well, she didn't like that answer. And so she ended up, it was the first doctor she met. So she tried different doctors and then decided that, you know what, I'm not going to take any medication, and I'm gonna try to do this on my own. And I think she did end up like finding some people that she could relate with, and other people that were. I think that's a big deal. Is you're not alone, and ask better questions if you want better answers, and just keep going, and don't give up. And so, anyways, it's been a lot of years, but so walk us through something where I'm getting phone calls. I've got family coming in town. I have to clean the house. The dog's barking. Dinner needs cooked. Like all this stuff's going on. And Uncle Sally's second cousin, is freaking out or has like some high stress thing. And you got all this external stuff like affecting you, and your stress levels
sounds
are
like
going up.
Any other weekend in Sussex County, Dylan. Come on.
Yeah. You got traffic, for 5 minutes, and you're mad about it. Walk us through what Audrey does when she notices herself getting high stress levels. What can people do?
Well, what does Audrey do? I'd say drink a glass of wine, but that's not the right answer. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. What does Audrey do when you can't remove yourself from the situation, but you're in it? Not everybody has pets and animals, but for me, they are a huge piece of my self-care puzzle. So I might take a break and go outside and take them out for a quick, backyard, romp or whatever. I drink. This sounds silly because it's like, well, that's mental and emotional and everything, but water is like my go-to. Or tea or something like that. So just that, let me just take a deep breath, have a sip of water, because you have to physically stop and take a deep breath and just to be able to take a sip of water, right? It sounds so silly and simple.
Well, there's science now that backs that up of just breathing right and staying present and
exactly. And I've been working really hard. I'm no expert, but I've been trying really hard at putting a positive spin on something. Like for myself, if I'm in that moment, I'm like, just don't stress, don't stress, don't freak out. Instead of being, and it's hard in the moment, right? Anyone can attest to that. It's hard to catch yourself in the moment, but if you work at it, I'm trying to talk to myself instead of giving myself some kind of negative connotation, like don't stress or just stop. I just try to flip the script, all right, Audrey, just heal. Just take a deep breath, like a positive action or a positive phrase in your mind. Because I'm telling you, man, one thing that I've learned, our minds are powerful. Yeah. Our hearts are powerful, and our bodies are working so hard for us. And side note real quick, because this is one of my biggest pet peeves about people with not people, I don't want to talk badly, but about people going through it, because everyone has their own way to deal. But one of my biggest pet peeves or misconceptions about autoimmunity is that, my body hates me. My body's fighting against me. But no, your body is doing everything it possibly can to keep fighting. That's what it's doing. It's literally fighting. It's just confused. It's just working too hard. So you need to, in your heart and your mind and your soul, give it a reason to say, it's okay. I'm getting chills talking about this because this has been my whole thing for the last year or two. It's like trying to get into that mindset and just trying to self-care, and this is happening. I have an autoimmune disease. I have MS. Stress is a trigger. Environment is a trigger. Virus is a trigger. We won't even go down that road, right? And so what can I do? I can try to control my thoughts. I can try to add things into my life that help my heart and my soul heal. And that's what I'm going to do. And as far as doctors and all that and getting the medical and the scientific attention and everything, that's important. But sometimes that is out of our control. And I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I do want to touch on something very important, because you said something about Daisy in the beginning and what she was doing, and she didn't like what the doctor said and everything. Very short version of a summary of my diagnosis. I was told I went to a physical therapist. I went to the primary, physical therapist, chiropractor, orthopedic doctor, neurologist, until I got the proper diagnosis. Okay. Wow. There's a whole long story behind that. But the beginning process, my primary doctor said, "Oh, it's muscle spasms. Here's your prescription for muscle relaxers," and sent me on my way.
Yeah.
And let's be frank, I could have been on muscle relaxers, popping pills for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And
didn't help.
Daisy thought too.
It didn't help, but that's what the doctor said, right? It just didn't feel right. I trusted myself to give myself enough credit to have enough strength and confidence to go to the next doctor and ask the next question. And that's one of the reasons why I started Operation Shooting Stars, because if there's someone out there that doesn't feel like they have enough strength or enough confidence to do that, I'm here. My volunteers are here. My organization is here to let you know. Make a phone call, ask me, talk to somebody on social media about it, or if one of your friends, to find the confidence or to find the support to ask the right questions or to keep going down the right path. Cause yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that. So, it sounds like, not only, just trust your gut and really just be in tune with yourself, but it sounds like, and I'm really into this stuff, so I'm actually super passionate about the mind-body connection. And I've gone through other high-stress situations with Iraq and all that stuff. So in my experience with doctors trying to prescribe stuff, poor doctors, they're trying their best, I think.
Right.
And there's so many different things that could go wrong with your body. And so it really does push the envelope of, just trust yourself and realize that, if our minds can make us sick, then our minds can make us healthy too, heal. Mm-hmm. And so I love that stuff. And so, Audrey, what has Operation Shooting Star done? How did what has been blossoming with this, and how are you guys planning on tackling 2021?
Well, thanks for asking that. So pre-COVID, because that's how we determine dates and times these days, right? It's either pre-COVID or post-COVID. Pre-COVID in 20,
it's gonna be like BC and
yeah, exactly. That's what it is. So in 2019, I say that just because I want to talk most recently about Operation Shooting Star, because we've been around for 10 plus years, but the biggest and most, the things I'm most proud of have happened, aside from the creation of it, have happened in the last couple of years. So in 2019, we established an amazing relationship with a research institute in Seattle, Washington, in America, that is one of the elite institutes in the world that actually does focus on autoimmunity as a whole. I mean, that is their specialty. And when we found them, and I can't take the credit for that, my national ambassador for Operation Shooting Star, her name is Gretchen. I could talk days about her and her amazing story, but she found them and brought them to Operation Shooting Star. But anyway, Seattle, Washington, they're an elite institute, and we connected with them in 2019, started an amazing relationship. And our first donation to them was in April of 2019 for $10,000. We're a small organization, grassroots, Eastern Shore, right? Homegrown roots. That's how we started. So that's a big deal, because now we're donating across the country. Now all of a sudden we become East Coast to West Coast. Now, technically, in my mind, we're nationwide, right? So going into 2020, we had huge plans because there was a lot of significance of 2020. We had just donated 10K. So in 2020, we wanted to donate 20K, 20 and 20.
Wow. Yeah.
And we also were approaching our 10-year anniversary in November of 2020. And Gretchen, who has an amazing story, and please go to our website and read all about her, because I don't have time to touch on it today and I wouldn't do it justice, but her story is amazing. She's also an autoimmune disease warrior. But Gretchen had plans to run her 100th half marathon also in 2020.
Oh, wow.
So we had huge plans for 2020. And then, as everyone is familiar, unfortunately, COVID happened. Thankfully, fast forward, because of some residual donations we had left over from 2019 and going into 2020, and the little bit that we were able to continue via social media and things like that, local help, we were still able to at least donate $10,000 again to Benaroya Research Institute in Seattle, Washington. And we just sent them that at the end of the year. I'm super excited about it. And it means a lot to me because I wanted to keep the relationship going. I wanted them to know that no matter what, amidst anything, we're still in support of what they're doing. Side note, they took on COVID like champs. As soon as it went down, they were in their research facilities, still doing their autoimmune disease work and simultaneously focusing on COVID. They've made huge steps forward with everything. I truly believe in the work that they do. And so I just had to keep that going, and I wanted to give them whatever we could. So we just did that, actually timing perfect for this podcast, because next week we're doing a little, big check presentation.
Wow. Okay. We're
one of the representatives. Yeah. So we're super excited, and I don't know what 2021 is going to bring. I can tell you there's hope. There's a plan. I don't know what the plan is, but I know that there is a plan because we want to keep moving forward. So right now, everything's virtual. So social media and online donations. Unfortunately, we can't do the big in-person fundraisers that we got accustomed to. Eventually, we'll get back to that. But
so it sounds like you guys are just if anyone, and I'm pretty sure basically anyone has somebody in their life that is struggling with this type of thing. And if you're listening and you're looking for a way, I know in this area, a lot of mature audiences coming down here to retire, and they're looking for ways to support and help people. This is just such an incredible thing that you guys are doing, and you're able to impact that community because no one's really stepping up and doing that. So really awesome. So I just want to plug it in here. If you guys are looking for a way to reach other people and serve the community and help other people struggling with this, you can check out Operation Shooting Star on Facebook, website, all those places, email. I'm going to plug everything down below. And this is just such an incredible way. And all of your events and things going around the country that you guys are going to be into, whoever's listening, you can get involved with all of that stuff and follow them, like them, subscribe, share, whatever you have to do. And when you guys are posting up stuff, we're going to make sure we link up with that too.
Yeah, so, that's amazing. Yeah, we've got advocates. One of our advocates is I've got advocates everywhere, but on our team, and I'm going to deem Daisy one of our advocates. So let her know she's been voluntold. That's what she's doing. But, we've got an advocate in Florida. Gretchen is on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. So, yeah, absolutely. Whatever we can do while we're all in our homes or virtual or however, we can still spread the love, the word, the money.
Yeah. And, it's important because a lot of times when there's research going, any major discovery in the world or country has had to come from the trenches of researching and the nonstop, like, oh, this didn't work, let me try this or this, and just continually building onto that stuff. And without money, without support, without a recognition of all that, none of that stuff happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and sometimes that gets lost. People don't necessarily remember or understand that if we don't continue supporting research, then it does trickle down, and there may not be the correct treatment made. There may not be the right education being taught in the medical field to be able to recognize and diagnose, so there's so many different pieces of that puzzle. That's why I'm so passionate about supporting research.
Now, Audrey, you kind of mentioned mindset and mindfulness and those type of things. So I have been really into, so the big question that I have in my head that I've discovered is, if somebody can take a sugar pill, a placebo, and have a physical change in their body based on believing in something that they've taken, I can't help but think, like, stopping in your, I just started doing this thing called, it's Urban Float.
Okay.
It's like a dream pod thing where you float and you kind of like distract yourself from
Oh,
life, and it's
cool.
almost like a meditation style thing.
Yeah.
Have you dove into any of that type of stuff, like meditation or mindfulness or like any type of stuff like that?
Full disclosure, I'm not very good at meditation. Anybody that knows me knows that my mind doesn't stop, which kind of goes on track with my autoimmune disease. My body and my mind are both like full speed ahead. I'm working on that. I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I have a therapist. I talk to her once a week. I thank God for her. I am so thankful. Yoga is always everyone, some people's
Daisy
go
loves
to.
yoga. Yeah.
Yeah. Any kind of exercise. I swim. And for me, that's kind of a meditation, because it sounds silly,
Definitely.
but
No,
for
really,
me, it's,
yeah.
I'm a swimmer. I've been swimming since I was old enough to be in the water, and there's no noise. I mean, if you want to get literal about it, there's no noise under the water when you're swimming. So it forces me into a type of meditation. It forces my mind to just be like, and get into that breathing while I'm swimming, getting into that rhythm. So yeah, I guess you could say that would be a form of my mindfulness and meditation.
I think you nailed it. I think, like I have my thing. Daisy loves yoga and exercising and stuff like that. So I think you're right. I think it's just about, if anybody's listening, like just find something that distracts you, or just something that you love doing, and that is in and of itself being mindful and meditating.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
I'm glad you said that. I just recently, about a year ago, actually right before COVID, discovered spending time. I love animals, but spending time with horses. And I'd go and spend an hour with the horse, not horseback riding, not anything like that, just spending time with them and trying to connect with them and learn about them. And it forced me to stop everything. So in that hour, or however long it was I was with this horse, my mind was completely focused on the horse and how the horse was making me feel and how I was making the horse feel. And so by default, my whole body just kind of would like, and that is a form of my mindfulness and meditation and peacefulness. That's where I find peace in my heart. That's what I was saying earlier. It's all connected. Your mind, your body, your soul, your heart, it's all connected.
So I heard on horses. So is it true that, let's say you're around a horse or something, that the horse can actually sense like your state, really?
Yep.
And so
absolutely. And
isn't that crazy? Yeah.
I have a quick, I could talk about this kind of stuff all day long, but I have a quick scenario that will prove that. I was blown away. I didn't believe it. I was in the round pen, and I didn't grow up around horses, so I don't know that much about them, but I'm learning. And it's very humbling to be around a 1,000-pound animal, right? Or whatever, I was in a round pen, and I was standing in the middle, and the work that we were doing was, how could I lead the horse without actually having the horse on a lead? Okay. The horse is traveling around the round pen on the fence. I'm in the middle. Okay. Like a clock. And I didn't have any rope or anything connecting to him. How could I get him to run and or stop just by following my lead? Well, he was going, and he was kind of getting confused, and he would run, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, just think about where you're at. Think about what you're conveying. And I literally, in my mind, I was like, okay, let me just take a deep breath and start over. Well, when I did that by default, it wasn't an intention, but it happened. I just stood in the middle, and I was like, and I like grounded myself, and I kid you not, I got that horse. He then just stopped and just kind of followed me. And then I got him to like ran around the round pen in the way that I was kind of just focusing my energy. And I was in tears in that moment, because it was,
isn't that crazy?
It was just like, I just had to think about my energy and myself and just give myself a break and not stress out, and just take a deep breath.
I love stories like that.
And it gives me chills every time I think about it, and that's why I continue to want to be around horses in particular and animals, because it just forces me. It's my thing. Everyone has their own thing, but for me, it forces me to just, all right, take a deep breath,
Wow. And I think that's so important too. And that's not the first story I've heard about horses. They're so
in tune.
Well, they got giant heads, so I'm sure that they have like a sense of things. And I think it goes to show too, like when you walk into a room and somebody's fighting, like you can feel it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Energy is huge.
Yeah, I think
energy is such a big part of our lives, whether we're healthy or not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said all that, because I think that's so important, when just being mindful of your state. And, a lot of times people want something outside of themselves to make them happy, or to, but you hear about it all the time with really wealthy people. Like they just keep chasing something and they're just not happy. But you can have happiness now.
Yeah.
And you can have, that state now, and just be grounded and present.
And it's really important. I need to bookend that thought because it's really important that I say this as an autoimmune disease community advocate. All that being said, there are instances where we do have to go, we need medicine, or we need a medical treatment, or we need to do, I am on multiple sclerosis medicine. What I'm talking about though, and speaking to, is that's the part I can't control. I have this disease. I can't cure it right now, but what can control around it? And that's why the mind and the body and all those other things are so important, because that's the part that I can control. That's the part that I can work towards, or at least try. Simultaneously, I am taking the medicine. I have to do that. I've been off it. I've been on it. It's different for everyone. Just like you spoke with Daisy, everyone has their own thing that they have to figure out. For me, staying on a medicine stabilizes, but meanwhile, with all the symptoms and the exacerbations and the ups and downs of it, the part that I can focus on is the other stuff. So
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no right answer with autoimmune disease right now. So that's why we have to look at everything.
So don't beat yourself up if you're like, oh, I have to take all, like, just calm down. And I love it. You can't control, things outside of yourself, or if there is something that's helping, like, don't just stop doing everything. Just control what you can control. And oh man, I love it. So Audrey, we got a lot of people moving from all these cities, like we discussed. And just to say again, guys, if you're trying to get a hold of these amazing people, Audrey and Operation Shooting Star, check out their Facebook, like them, support them. They have all types of donation drives, and that they're super active in helping research and supporting this community. So check them out, and we got those links down below. But we got all these people moving here from all over the place, and they may be scared. We meet so many people every year, and they're like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know a business that does this or that. So being someone from here, what are some of your favorite spots or things that you like to do? There's so many nature places. What's some of your favorite places?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, I grew up in Fenwick area, Fenwick Island, West Fenwick, Roxana. So I'm biased to that part of our beach. I love it because it's right smack in the middle of the Delaware beaches and the Ocean City, Maryland beaches. Yep. So you can go down to Ocean City for the hustle and bustle, or you can stay in Fenwick and Bethany to get a little bit more, solitude on the beach, that kind of thing. Or you can go a little north, Dewey, Rehoboth. So I'm a big advocate for that. The water has always been, I've always felt at home by the water. So finding something to do out in the bay. We have the awesome part about our area is that there's the bay and the ocean right there. So take your pick, So I love doing anything that has to do with water, being out on the boat or being on the beach or whatever. Do you want me to talk like my favorite restaurant, things like that?
That's my next question. What's your favorite restaurant?
So, well, hold on. If you need a good cleaning company, that guy with a broom, I heard, is pretty good.
Yes, to save you time so you can go eat at restaurants. What's your favorite restaurant?
Exactly. Gosh, listen, I love food. And I'm a stickler for local. So I will say Cactus Cafe on Route 54, locally owned.
One of my favorites. I love them.
Hands
And the
down.
staff.
Yeah. And I'm a big advocate for small business and locally owned. I'm a dog mom, so I can tell everybody where to go for their dog needs. Wags to Riches on Route 54 for grooming, Millville Pet Stop for all your food and nutrition and toys and everything else. Absolutely. Those are hands down my favorites. I'm trying to think. Favorite restaurant?
Well, Cactus Cafe and all those places
gotta
you
be
just said. Yeah.
I mean, I can't drink a margarita anywhere else. Nobody can beat the margaritas.
What is what's your okay, you ready for lightning round? Here we go.
Yeah, let's go.
What's your best book, tool, or software or video, and why?
Oh, best I don't even understand. Oh,
Best book, tool, video, software, anything that kind of
helps to find answers?
Anything that you just love to that just impacted you in some way.
That's kind of a loaded question.
Any movies that you love?
Oh gosh.
Well,
I love movies and books. Nicholas Sparks is my favorite book author. I'm a sucker for a good suspenseful romance. Movies. I always get a lot of crap for this, but I can't not say it. It's my favorite. I'm an 80s born and raised. Goonies. Goonies is my favorite movie.
Yes, I love Goonies.
I always get so much slack for that. I'm like, how can
hey,
Goonies?
You guys.
Yeah, that's my hands down my favorite movie. As far as
that's great.
Yeah.
So, and what is the biggest myth in some type of non-denominational, what am I trying to say? Nonprofit organization. What's the biggest myth of being in business or nonprofit or doing something like this?
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. So nonprofit. One of the biggest problems is that people hear nonprofit, it means no profit, right? That's absolutely true. It does not mean we don't incur expenses. Yeah. One of the reasons, one of my biggest things, and you'll read it if you read about the history of my organization, is that I am very adamant about donating 100% of proceeds, net proceeds, to research. I say it like that because people need to understand that there are expenses incurred to run an operation and to be able to make those things happen. Now, one thing I've thankfully been strong and sticking with, and I've been able to accomplish it this far, is that I have been very transparent about expenses. So, when people donate, I say, would you like this to go towards our expenses, or would you like this to be a solid donation? And that's what happens with it. So if I don't have enough in the expense account, then stuff doesn't happen, or I don't get stuff or whatever, That's why you don't see any t-shirts for sale right now. We don't have the money to spend on that. I sent $10,000 to the Research Institute instead, So that's probably the biggest problem, is that people don't understand that there's still expenses incurred. And for me and our organization right now, where I stand is, it's not that we don't spend money on it. We have to, but it's still 100% of net proceeds are going to research. And absolutely, whatever you tell me that money is to be used for, that's what it's going to be used for.
I mean, even just having a website alone, you have to incur. There's so many behind the scenes things. I can't imagine. So being in business, we have a lot of overhead stuff that makes things happen. And I can't imagine being a nonprofit and trying to be so particular about what you're spending money on.
Well, can I chime in real quick on that before we get too far? Because you said website specifically. I have to say this. I know we're talking 302, but let's face it. Eastern Shore, the whole area blends together, right?
Yep.
If it weren't for D3 Corp out of Ocean City, West Ocean City, D3 Corp, I would not be where I'm at today. They're the ones that have been with me from the very, very beginning. They do my website. They are my backbone. And it sounds silly because some people are like, well, that's just the website part of it. No. As an organization, as a local business, they are absolutely amazing. And I can't shout their praises enough. If anybody needs services like that, please find D3 Corp. And that's a huge thing with nonprofits. We have to be able to find in-kind donations or people and businesses that are willing to support and help, so that there's not a lot of expense incurred, and that the money coming in from Joe Schmo, whoever's at the fundraiser, that can go to the cause, which for us is the research. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we got a lot of businesses listening
Absolutely.
in or joining. So if any of you guys think that you can provide some type of value to a program like this, reach out to Audrey. And shout out to D3 Corp, and we'll put their information down below too.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Now,
yeah, they did our logo. They did our logo. I mean,
nice.
They're the backbone.
I love it.
If it weren't for them, I'd be lost.
So I think we're gonna have a t-shirt company on here soon.
All right.
Hopefully you guys are listening. They need some help.
I don't know if anyone noticed, but I'm a really good talker, so I can sing praises all day long. I can help with the marketing, getting your business information out there. No problem.
Nice. And it shows too. You have a lot of passion behind this, and that's what it takes to make anything like this happen.
Thank you.
So what is one question I should have asked, and what's your answer?
Oh, fun. So I get to lead this real quick. Well, I'll say this. I love connecting with people, and I love connection in general, with animals, with people, with I love connection. So I want to know like the nitty gritty of why somebody, just one or two things about somebody that really makes them who they are that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So what you should have asked me is, well, what are some of your passions, or what are your passions that don't have anything to do with Operation Shooting Star? And I will tell you, if you really want to get to know who I am and the person that I am, theater, acting in theater, community theater, and animals are my two biggest passions in the world. So
have you been in any plays?
I actually grew up on the Possum Point Players stage in Georgetown. So that's another plug.
Cool.
I have to get out there. Don't let the arts die. Don't let community theater die. They're still working hard to stay alive. They are a nonprofit. They're in Georgetown, Delaware. Possum Point Players. Please keep community theater going. It's so important for those of us that do it and those of us that enjoy being a part of it.
That is one of my favorite things to do that I haven't done in a long time. And it's a great date night, actually, going to plays and theater. It's so awesome when you see people like really diving into their characters and just having fun with it.
Well, here's a perfect opportunity of, I'll say, healing versus de-stressing. Here's a perfect opportunity to heal. Get out and go watch somebody else's story for 2 hours and put your story away for a minute. Let your mind just get involved in something else that's happening and someone else's story and that show that they're giving. And it's amazing what it can do for therapy.
Wow.
So
Audrey, this has been really great, and I have a feeling you're going to be impacting a lot of people listening to this and are looking for ways to get help and people like them. So having somewhere where they can connect and meet like-minded people struggling with things like this is so amazing, and we're really thankful and blessed. And I know Daisy, it's really nice for her when she has other people that are like her, so she doesn't feel crazy.
Yeah.
And Audrey, thank you so much, guys. Keep living the 302 lifestyle, and have a great day.
Yeah, this has been awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much. This is great what you guys are doing.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Wish you could spend more time having fun and less time with chores? Go to 302beachtalk.com to get $20 off a home cleaning. You'll be entered to win a completely free cleaning. Eat, play, serve. Sponsored by That Guy with a Broom.